So I always just treat every transaction like an opportunity to advertise, show people what we can do and just try to be responsive to both agents. And I feel like that's been a really great way to grow my business, because you get introduced to a new agent and they have to deal with you for 30 days or whatever, 2 weeks, however, whatever long it is to close it. So when those agents get to work with you, they're asking you things. It's not like you're selling them, right? You're just going through a transaction. So it's a really soft landing, to meet those people and talk to them, and just be in touch with them as well. If they text you late at night, like, get back to them. Like, I just think, like, again, just treating them like they're like you've known them forever and you're just trying to help out. Like, it goes a long way. People remember it, because a lot of guys don't. They don't reply. They don't, oh, you're the listing agent, whatever. Like, that's your best opportunity to sell yourself, but not sell yourself. Just be awesome, or as awesome as you can be with the transaction.
Welcome to the LO Code Podcast, where we talk about everything from marketing to just general loan bullshit. All right, our guest today has done amazing numbers. He's averaged over 30 units a month for over 4 years. His peak was over 700 units in a year and over $230 million in production that year. And it's the one and only Andy Price. Thanks for being on today, Andy.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Good to be here, as always.
And I think the crazy thing is, you said even this year where things are challenging, you're still going to average over 40 units a month and over 160 million total volume.
Yeah, I think I'll be a little under 40. I was on track, but November, and October hit hard. So December probably won't be much better. So I should end up somewhere between 35 to 37 units average this year.
So instead of doing like 45 in those slow months, you're going to do about 20 to 25 units?
Yeah, I'm ended up at like 25 last month. I think I'll be at 22 or 23 this month, hoping I can still hit 20 loans next month. We'll see. We'll see what the market does.
And that's exactly why we're having you on, because you are extremely modest, and I've known you for years now. You're a great mentor for me.
Thank you.
And you hate
too.
talking about yourself, and you just kind of, every time I ask you, like, well, how do you approach that? It just comes so natural to you. You don't even think about the kind of extraordinary things that they're extraordinary to us and other people, but to you, it's just every day being Andy. So that's why I want to have you on and just have you kind of share your insights of what do you think has brought you to that level? Because before you opened up your company, was it 2017 that you opened your own shop?
Yeah, I opened in March. Yeah, 17. Just me and my LOA. Yeah, we hired a processor that year, and then I think we started hiring LOs about a year after that. So 18 started hiring, awesome. And now I think we're 120 people or so.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of people.
Your numbers weren't shabby before. What was your production before you opened your own shop?
I'm trying to think of what it was. I probably was doing 30 million, a year, something along those lines, maybe 20. I know 16. I was probably, I know I was doing a lot of 2 to 3 million a month type months, and 17, probably very similar. And then it kind of went from there. I think 18, it jumped up a little bit. I got closer to 50 million when we were just looking at the numbers, getting closer to that, hitting those 30, almost 30 loans a month type deal. Right. And then, 19 hit, and rates, I feel like that's when they got low then, or lower. So there was probably more refis and things of that nature. And I just remember trying to go after my past database and going through, just staying in touch with people, looking for opportunities to refinance. And I've said it a million times, it's exponential. I mean, the more you grow your database, those people refer people, and then those people refer people, whether it's realtors or past clients or, just any of the people you work with. So financial advisors, whoever, I mean, the more people you come in contact with, the more people you help, the growth is exponential. So basically that takes on a life of its own, basically. And it's just compound interest at that point. So I try not to ever look at any transaction dollar amount. It's just add somebody else to the database. It'll, exponentially grow. if you do a good job and just be straight up with people. And, yeah, I mean, mortgage business is ugly. So yeah, we have problems. There's stuff that doesn't work right. People that aren't always super happy with things, but you try to make them right. You try to keep people informed, and it seems to pay off. I mean, just being responsive, don't hide, just hit the problems head on, and find a way to make it right. So that's just the way I've always done it. I'm a big, you know, um, I guess a big, what would you call it? A proponent of just basically treating other people how you want to be treated. Like
Mhm.
if I was doing the loan and this was happening to me, what would I want done? How would I want someone to make it right? So I think it's just really good to be fair, be honest, and just treat people the way you want to be treated. And that's really it. I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's just the hard things like calling people back, replying to emails, getting things done in a timely manner, fixing problems, whatever it is. It's just a matter of just being there, and taking like that tub it, or, answer your damn phone, like just doing those things, right? So
Well, so
it's
let's
all the
dig in
easy
this,
things,
because
but they're
you
hard.
always like kind of, I feel like you oversimplify a lot of the things that you do because it just comes natural. So if you look back at, like, let's say 16, 17, 18, do you think there's specific actions that you took that attracted more business into your pipeline?
I think it's one of those things where people get to know who you are. It takes time. I mean, I've been at it 20 years. I've never really paid for leads or any of that stuff. It's very rare that I've done anything of that nature. Mailers, it's few and far between. So I just, especially going through the crash, it was always like, what can I do that doesn't cost money? I can answer the phone, I can respond to emails, I can reach out to people, I can just do whatever I can do that doesn't cost money. And so that's what I did. But yeah, I mean, there is a point where you have to invest in yourself, right? Like you have to put some money into maybe a good CRM, or like the video stuff that you're doing now. Like today's market and what people want to see, like these videos and content, that's a lot different than when I was growing up in the business. Like it's a whole different ballgame. So as somebody coming into it, in the last couple of years, like you have to incorporate those things right away, because nobody was doing that stuff before. Very few people. And most of the time it didn't even matter if you did or not. Nobody was really looking at that. They were just, who's your realtor want to use? And they left it at that. There wasn't so much content out there and information like there is now on shopping. But I think it's probably just investing in myself, like, doing some things with realtors where we're contributing to maybe what they're doing on CRMs or things like that, all RESPA stuff, but, compliant, but just things where you're going into offices, you're getting to know a group of agents, like things like that. I think take some time, but they grow, and you gain realtors, and just, I think it was just a matter of just like, again, just that exponential growth. Like, oh, you helped me with refinance. So-and-so said to call you, or, hey, you work with this realtor that I know, and I'm a realtor and I can't get this deal done. And, they said to call you. And that's one of the things I always have talked about before, is like, whenever you're working with a realtor, the listing agent, buyer's agent, hey, great transaction. I don't ever ask for business, but I will say, hey, if your main person can't get something done, let me know. Like, we're a broker, so we can, our rates are lower, fees are lower, we have more options. There's a lot of times we can make a deal work that maybe your main guy can't. So, if you have
Mhm.
something that's not working, think of me, give me a shot. And that's like where realtors like, okay, if they keep your info, or if you stay in touch with them through CRM or something, they're like, oh yeah, that guy did whatever. And I'll reach out to them and see what's going on. One of the agents I've been working with recently, she said, she's not a huge producer, but we had a cross sell. She was a listing agent probably, I don't know, 8, 9 months ago. And then, like, I don't know, a few months ago, she reached out, hey, I really liked how you handled that transaction. I have a buyer I need to get pre-qualified. Could you help me? Sure. And so I think we've done 3 or 4 transactions now.
Nice.
So it's
So is
just
that how
like you
you've
just,
gained most of your realtor partners, is just on the other side of the transaction, they'll reach out? Like, you don't do any cold outreach to realtors.
I've
You
never
never
cold
have, right?
called. Yeah. I just don't do it. I think it's a great thing to do. I think a lot of guys, like Randy Bongard, he's one of them. He's a cold call fanatic, and he's grown a great business doing it. it's just not in my DNA. So I always just treat every transaction like an opportunity to advertise, show people what we can do, and just try to be responsive to both agents. And I feel like that's been a really great way to grow my business, because you get introduced to a new agent and they have to deal with you for 30 days or whatever, 2 weeks, however, whatever long it is to close it. So when those agents get to work with you, they're asking you things. It's not like you're selling them, right? You're just going through a transaction. So it's a really soft landing, to meet those people and talk to them, and just be in touch with them as well. If they text you late at night, like, get back to them. Like, I just think, like, again, just treating them like they're like you've known them forever and you're just trying to help out. Like, it goes a long way. People remember it, because a lot of guys don't. They don't reply. They don't. Oh, you're the listing agent, whatever. Like, that's your best opportunity to sell yourself, but not sell yourself. Just be awesome, or as awesome as you can be with the transaction.
It's funny, because I look at it to the way I approach things, the way you approach things, and they're very similar but very different in terms of, you are creating content, but it's like human content, right? So like when you have conversations, when you do deals, you are getting in front of people, and the longer you've been in the business, you start to saturate the players that are actually staying in the game. They've
Right.
seen your name, they've been on the other side, they try you out, and over the course of, let's say, 15 years, you really grew a following, and then it just started to exponentially increase because you put in that time. Whereas now people are trying to speed that up by creating videos and social media content and ads, because they want their sphere to grow faster. But from what I hear you say, there's no way around not growing that sphere. It's just how you get there is what matters. Or
Yeah. I mean, again,
is
like,
your approach.
yeah, and I think you have to do all of it now. And that's why, for me, like I was telling you earlier, I'm doing these monthly LO meeting, or not LO, the realtor meetings now, just talking about different product types, talking about what rates are doing, talking about buy downs, just trying to provide some kind of value. And, sometimes there's a good amount of agents in it. Sometimes there's not. It's a long play. Most of these things that we do are long plays. None of them are like, I'm doing this today and tomorrow I'm going to be doing, 5 million a month. Like,
Right.
none of them are that. It's a very long game. And me, for one, I have very little patience, but when it comes to growing your business, like, to me, the way that you really grow a long standing solid business is not a fly by night thing. You come as quick as you go. Like, you have to put down those steps and slowly build this big foundation, and it just keeps growing. And same thing with Price Mortgage. Like, it wasn't like, I'm not out recruiting. I'm not out looking for the quick hires. I'm like, people, it's word of mouth. Like, hey, this place is a good place. Like, I know who he is. I've seen him around. This other guy that I know works there, whatever. And then we filter out who we want to bring in and who we don't, and it's, to me, like, that's the organic growth is always that long play is always going to last longer and grow longer, and, maintain these market shifts. And I mean, these market shifts are horrible. I feel bad for anyone who's, it's affected a lot of realtors. It's affected a lot of loan officers, but you have to write them out if you're going to be in it for the long haul. Like, 2008 was a really bad year, like, for me, and it was horrible. And I decided to write it out, and a lot of people fell by the wayside, and people didn't have their normal lender they work with and whatever. So, staying strong and just working through it and finding ways to write out these kind of shifts is always going to pay off exponentially. The returns are big. You just have to make sure you you can see the end of the tunnel, and you get to that light at the end of the tunnel, basically, and know that the things will get better. They get worse, they get better. I mean, we've had a long run of just really awesome rates and things. Like, we all knew it was coming at some point. So, I mean, yeah, I would have loved to not have it this year, but it is what it is, and you just have to go through it and make it out the other side, right?
Right. I love what you said, that it's not like you can get it overnight. And what I'm trying to get through to a lot of people is there's only 2 ways to grow a business, and 3 if you combine them: time, money, or both.
Mm-hmm.
And I think both is where the sweet spot is for a lot of people, depending on like where you're at your level. But you have to put in the time, and if you want exposure and you want to invest in things, you have to have money. And if you don't want to wait, then you have to throw a ton of money at it and potentially burn a ton of money because you're trying to figure it out, you make mistakes. So if you lead with sweat equity, things that you can do that are free, and then splash a little bit of money on there to maybe have it grow faster, that's kind of what I've done. And just
Mhm.
like, hey, this worked really well, I did the sweat equity thing, how can I put this out and have more people see it faster? And not just like, I want to buy the business, I just want more attention on what we're doing. And that's how like
Exactly.
we've approached it. And even you, like you're sponsoring like more charity events, you're getting more known in the community.
Hmm.
And so like that's where you decide to put some of your marketing dollars, but you're kind of giving back to the community while you do it. So I think that's really cool that you've
Yeah, I think
done that.
anytime you have a chance to look, sponsor a local little league, or a client reaches out, or somebody, a high school football team, or be on a jersey, be in a one of those little pamphlets, like all those things are huge. The clients love it. People will see it. Like I remember when I did some volleyball thing. I did a one for a client. He's like, "Hey, would you want to sponsor our volleyball club?" Sure. Well, come to find out, like, there's other people I'd helped, and they knew who I was, and they saw the name. They thought it was super cool. And then you got like some other people I knew that were part of the club, and like things I didn't know. Right. But it to me, like all those little organic, like little local things you can do go a long way. Like the Fiesta Bowl, I think is cool. Like we've been doing that last year. We'll do it this year. It's like part of like a teacher charity involved in that, which is really cool because teachers are well underfunded a lot of times. So any of those things, like anytime anybody asks me to sponsor something that's local and it's a past client or something, I'm in every time. Yep, let's do it. Like the save second base thing that we do with the Darwin Wall team, like that. That's super cool. It's a fun time. Like people really like it. It's for a good cause. And I think it's really great when you can put your marketing dollars as something that also is actually giving back, right? It's not just, hey, we're awesome or whatever. It's you're
Right.
actually helping a cause, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is huge. But yeah, I think you're right about, having to invest money too. Like you'll never, like you can't just do time. It'll take, like I did that for years. It's when you start sprinkling a little money and investing in yourself, like, that helps for sure. But all of it requires action, right?
Right.
So even if you're throwing money at something, if you're not going to actively work on what it is you're paying for, like whether it's like video content with you, right? I can pay you whatever to help me do videos, but if I'm not willing to do the videos, repost them, or whatever it is that you require, it goes nowhere, right?
Right.
I'm buying leads. Okay, I buy leads. Now what? If I'm
Yeah.
sitting around not doing anything, they don't go anywhere, right? Like all these things that you do all require sweat equity, right?
People ask me that all the time. They're like, well, how many leads do you get? And I'm like, hopefully none. They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I don't want leads. I'm not in the business of buying or generating leads. I'm in the business of generating attention, and attention
Mm-hmm.
towards how to get a better mortgage, or how to have a better rate, or how to have a better experience, or how to avoid this mistake, and educate as many community people in the community as I can, so that I become a trusted advisor. And then they reach out because they want my specific help. They want my team to help them. I
Yeah.
don't want just random people like filling out a form. Will some people do that? Sure, they will. But I would rather they followed me and watched, even if it was the same day, they watched a bunch of my content and go, that's the guy that I want doing my deal. And I think
Yeah.
that's
I
where a lot
think
of
if you have
people,
that connection, right? Like they know,
right.
like, okay, this guy's giving me good info. He's not trying to sell me something. He's
Mm-hmm.
giving me, education on how to pick the right mortgage, how to pick who I work with. I think as soon as you flip that switch from I'm a sales guy to I'm an advisor, I'm an educator, and
Mm-hmm.
people just trust you and know that you have their best interest in mind, like you win every single time, right? And you're going to lose some
Right.
deals because people suck, right? Like I mean, for the most part, people
It is
suck.
what
You're
it
going to
is.
lose some deals over an eighth, or who knows? People just whatever. People are people, and I try not to take it personally. It's hard not to, but you do. And it's like, you know what? Some people just they'll fall out, whatever. But most of the people, especially the ones you want to work with, if they know that you're there for them, you want them to have good advice, make good decisions, and they trust you to do that for them. They're not going
Mm-hmm.
to go anywhere else,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's not sales. It's I need to do this. How would you recommend I do that? You know, what's your opinion on it? Like
And
those are what you want.
exactly. And going back to the leads thing, you've been in this a lot longer than I have. So if you've seen a lot of people come in and out, the people that you know that specifically buy leads and that's how they make their living, how how many of those people fizzle out and don't last that you've seen?
I haven't really tracked it. I can say that I think people that buy leads, they don't, a lot of times, like they do pay a lot of money for these leads, but they don't value the person that they get as much because like, well, if this guy doesn't work out, I got a bunch more coming, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or it wasn't a
Yes.
referral from a friend or a realtor or someone they know. You know, if it's someone that you know that
And they end up
refers
getting a lot of
somebody
bad
to you,
reviews.
right, and a lot of bad reviews. So like when it's a referral, it's somebody like you're representing that person that referred you. So even if you don't want to do a good job, you kind of have to, right? Like you
Right.
have to put your best foot forward. So by default, you have to do the right thing, even if you're not a guy that always wants to. So I got a referral. This shines on this realtor. It shines on this friend. It shines on this past client. How I perform, how I handle
Right.
the customer. When you got leads coming in, there's no accountability to it. Essentially, right? Like I can just be like,
Right.
whatever, you know, screw that guy and move on to the next lead. So again, those are transactional relationships. You paid to receive their lead. They're looking for a service. You may deliver, you may not, and you don't care if you ever see them again, even though you should. If the people that survive in the lead business are people that treat them like family, treat them like you know they want to be treated. People that stay in touch with them, put them in their CRM. You know, they try to cultivate a long term relationship. Anybody that's just buying leads
They
for
don't
short
last.
term gain and not trying to stay in touch with them, you know, or burning these bridges, I mean, that's a losing
100%.
battle every day. You're just drowning, you know? Yeah. So that'd be my thoughts on it. And I mean, the times we have done leads or mailers, again, I always just treat them like I do anybody else. And a lot of times those people call you back.
Mm-hmm.
Like it might have been a group of us doing leads together.
Right.
I was the most hands on. They didn't call them, they called me, you know? And so it's just really about that response time and just giving them good advice and
Right.
you know, giving a shit goes a long way, right? Like it just, and no matter what you do, you know, because we've all had bad experiences with a contractor, with a whatever services you've had people that don't return your calls, don't give you good info, they're flopping around all over. I mean, you don't want to work with those
Mm-hmm.
people again. Well, the same goes in the mortgage space. I mean, we're a commodity, we're a service, so I mean, you have it's all about how you handle the transaction and how you treat the people involved in it if you want to
Exactly.
get future
Yeah.
business out of them, right? And again, it doesn't cost anything to deliver a good experience other than time and just you know treating them right. So that's you already have the deal. It's free advertising. It's paid advertising, but paying you to advertise
Right.
instead of the other way around. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love it. Like, because you've always been that proponent of if you just do an amazing job over and over and over and over and over and over, and you just keep doing it and keep doing it, good things happen.
Yeah.
And you have to just stick it out. And like, if you need business now, then you have to put more energy and effort in. You have to call your sphere. You have to call your realtors. You, you know, make more videos, put more content out, like whatever it takes, or go do something else like that. That's really what it comes down to. But if you want business in this industry, it doesn't, or you pay money for leads, but then like, you go back into that road of, yeah, it's, you're buying a transaction rather than a relationship. So,
Yeah. Like how
um,
much attention can you give to 30 leads coming in versus a few clients you're pre-qualifying, you know,
right.
on a
Yeah.
steady
Yeah.
stream?
And how many good leads did you pass up because you're just grinding out all these people that are just tire kickers? Whereas if you focused on the handful of people that actually need your help and you followed up aggressively with them and just, hey, I'm always here to help you. And that's one thing that it took me a long time in sales. And I still have to remind myself, I'm not bugging them. I'm just following up because people get busy and very rare if someone reached out to you first and you keep following up do they like why do you keep calling me bro. They're
Yeah.
usually like oh man, dude, I'm so sorry, I've been busy with the holidays or you know I got sick, you know I appreciate you reaching out. Like it's almost always positive, but in our heads we spin it like oh we're bugging this person.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to bug people, but you do want to make sure, like, to stay in touch with them because they will go away and somebody else might grab them. You know, especially in
100%.
this trigger lead environment we're in. You know, I lost one the other day to Rocket. Like, it was an eighth better, and rates improved, and I could save her, but she was already like she kind of responded to us for a week, and I'd helped her like three times, and it still
Mm.
bugs me like the concept because I'm like I can still come in an eighth better now and save you money. And she was too far along with them by not giving us a chance to meet it or beat it, you know. And you know, it's like these trigger leads are brutal. And you know, even like I feel like I have really good connections with most of my customers. You're still going to lose people, and you still have things you can improve. And you know, it was through the holidays, and it just got mixed up, and it's just you're gonna lose some. And then it's the worst part, I think, when you lose something like that. It's like, dang, you know. So hopefully I get her next time when rates are better, but who knows. I'll tell her to start at Rocket next time, and I'll beat that maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll do it the other way around, you know. But and I
that's
didn't
funny.
give her a hard time. I was just like, hey, you know, I can still beat it, and you went over to them for this for an eighth better, and I'm an eighth better now, like we can get it done. But you know, they had a lot of debt, they wanted to get it done, so I quit pushing it. I'm like, okay, well, I get it, you know, we'll be in touch when rates are better or whatever, and just
Yep.
move on basically, you know. But
Yep. Just
yeah, it's
live to fight
hard.
another day. You do your best, and like you said, you can. There's no single person that wins them all. It's impossible.
No, we want to, and we try to, and I feel like, you know, I win a lot of them, but sometimes you just don't jive with people or whatever. I mean, there's a million reasons why they might choose someone else. Maybe their friend told them somebody else is great and whatever. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I just think just treating people right, like don't get all angry and, you know, crazy with them. Just okay, that's fine. Well, if something doesn't work out, let me know. I mean, there's lots of times like that where something can go work out for you in your favor, you know. Like what do we have? We had a new build, we locked it, and this is a few months ago, and rates went way up, and he was the builder's like, you have to use us because you were in breach of contract for something. And so he does all these letters and stuff. Well, I had them locked a lot lower than they were on my second lock. So I had like we had expired. I relocked it somewhere else, and we put a lot of time into it. And he's like, you know, I got to go with them, whatever. So, you know, they're asking me, could we cancel this loan? I go, no, leave it open. Let's just see what happens. Like, I'm not a big fan of canceling a lock or a loan when someone says they're going somewhere else. I just let it ride for a few weeks, see what happens.
Right.
Sure enough, he got on some VP that said, yeah, you can use whoever you want. So we flipped it back around. We still had it locked way lower than market, and we did the deal, you know. And
Yeah.
but I didn't
That's
get
awesome.
pissy with him like, oh, I did all this work, and you know, I didn't do any of that. I just cool, you know, whatever. We'll just lay low. We'll leave you alone. Just let us know if something happens. And you know, it was a good deal. So and having that lock and not canceling it made a big difference. If I had tried to go back in after, I wouldn't have been able to do anything better than he already had locked with the builder,
Yeah.
right?
So anybody
So
that stayed with this video that long, I mean, that piece of advice right there could save. I mean, throughout your career, that's a lot of deals that could be saved because you just let it ride and just
oh
say, hey,
yeah,
we'll see how this plays out.
I never, because people like sometimes like, no, I don't want that house, whatever. I never cancel the lock or transaction that day. I always wait, you know, unless it's like they send over a bins or can, you know, some like concrete. I usually let it ride out for a couple weeks at least before I cancel the lock or the file with the lender. Because
That's
you
awesome.
just
That's
never
good
know,
advice.
right? And then it's like, oh yeah, we decided we want to buy it. We worked it out. Then you don't have to start over. You already have it with the bank. It's still locked. You
Hmm.
cancel it out, and then 2 days later they're back in, and then you're starting over. You know, and so
With
I just
potentially
never
much higher rates in this
could
environment. You
be,
never
yeah,
know.
especially in this environment. So I'm never one to just like, yep, cancel it out. Let's just forget it. I always just let it ride for a little bit. So
That's
I
some
would
great
recommend
advice.
that for sure.
Well, awesome, Andy. Well, it's always good talking to you. You always have good, solid, advice, and it's always just get better, be better at what you do, and just take care of people, and the good things will come. You just have to stick it out.